Anxious to learn all the things. Thank you for being here. This is our management and human resources concentration panel. How many of you have been to another concentration panel this quarter already? I can accept I see some familiar faces. You all are doing all the research. So today we have a group of lovely panelists, and we're going to talk about all the things surrounding what it means to be an HR concentration. And hopefully you'll leave here with some at least next steps on how to learn more, and then hopefully it'll pique some of your curiosities around the field. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mallory Stoffel. I oversee the Career Readiness Center, which is right next door. We share a wall right here, and we help students in the College of Business navigate the college to career transition. So everything from declaring a concentration and trying to find the right fit for you, to finding an internship, to writing a resume, doing a mock interview, all of those things. So we're here to support you all. And a huge thank you to our panelists for being here. We will go ahead and dive into our questions. Those of you that have been here kind of know how this works. I have some questions for them, but it is way more fun for everyone here. You ask the questions. We want to make sure that we answer all the things that you want to know today. So I'll pause throughout the course of the next like 40 minutes or so and make sure that you all have a chance to ask your questions too. And I like to leave a little bit of time at the end if possible, so that if you have any individual questions, we know everyone here has different experiences and involvements and things, and you might want to find out more information. So I'll try to leave some time at the end to take individual questions. Sound good? Yeah. Okay, nice. We were talking about how this room is so hot, and so just hang in there. I know we'll it kind of gets a little sleepy in here, but we'll make it as entertaining as possible. So let's go ahead and dive in. Before we go into our questions, do you also want to introduce yourself? We'll start with you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Your name, your obviously concentration, if you have any minors, and then any like involvements on campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charles Volby. I'm a third-year business admin student with a concentration in management and HR. I am the president of Cal Poly's Human Resource Management Association, which is the club for the concentration on campus. And I'm from San Diego, California,
We're in San Diego.
Imperial Beach.
Okay, all the way down there. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Malott. I am from Oro Grande, which is not too far from here. I am a business administration student concentrating in management and HR. And what was the last question?
Any involvement?
Oh, yes. So I'm a transfer peer leader. So if any of your transfer students may recognize me, we have events pretty frequently out here on the lawn. We have one this Thursday. Who wants to come by for like sandwiches or I think Mexican food is what's being debated right now. From 11 to 12. Yeah. But yeah, we're just taking like a break from midterms and studying or just like hanging out for a bit. So yeah.
I'm Sierra. I'm a fourth year at Cal Poly, obviously HR. On campus, I'm senior vice president of Delta Sig, which is just like a co-ed professional fraternity, and then I'm also president of Net Impact Consulting. So yeah, and I'm from Orange County.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy and I'm a fourth year concentrating in management and HR, and I'm from San Jose, California. And my involvement on campus is that I'm president of a sorority called Alpha.
Okay, so let's dive in. So how would you describe or define management and HR, someone that knows nothing about it? And then are there any like misconceptions about the field of human resources? We could kick it off with any journey.
So I feel like misconceptions, everyone always just thinks of HR as like Toby from the office.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more than that. There's a lot of aspects to HR, as well as management, learning to be like an efficient leader, like different leadership styles, as well as like all the different tasks that HR covers. You have like training and development, there's recruitment, there is, compensation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a lot about like HR that people don't really understand, and I didn't really understand until I jumped into the classes. And I think there's just, at the surface level, it doesn't look like too much. Like there's just, like your HR benefits, like you just do benefits, but that has such a large impact like on the rest of the company. And I think that's what's really cool is like the classes that we take within the concentration, like to dive into like those smaller, more niche HR topics, but then expand on like how that affects the company overall, which is what I really, really like about it. And then, yeah, I feel like one of my first HR classes, I think we had this together, guys, but like, it was like misconception was the first question and Toby was like the automatic first one. And I was like, oh, like that does hurt the look of it, but it's totally not at all.
I feel like what I really like about HR is that it's very versatile. There's a lot of things that you can go into when you're in HR. For me, over the summer, I was in learning and development, so I was able to get an understanding of the different learning and development programs that companies offer to employees, but you can also go into talent acquisition and trying to help employee engagement within the company. So there's just so many things that you can do within HR. So if you're more of a technical person, you can go into HRIS, which is like the information systems of HR, or you can go into comp and benefits, so which is like payroll and making sure that every employee is being paid equally. So there's a lot of legality with HR, but there's also a lot of creativity with HR. So it's a very versatile concentration in industry.
I would define HR as effectively utilizing your understanding of people to achieve organizational goals. And so in some of the HR courses, you get really, really complex questions like, how do you use compensation and benefits to motivate people? And the answer a lot of times is it depends. And that requires really strong connections with the people in your organization. So you will learn a lot of different types of approaches to certain things in terms of recruitment, staffing, training and development. But you have to have really strong relationships with the people who you work with and have really solid understanding of people and social awareness. And then you can apply certain philosophies in certain circumstances. So I think it's really cool to use that systems level thinking and get some really tough to solve problems solved. And I think a lot of misconceptions come from the history of HR when it started out. And people, like I know my parents still feel like you don't do much. And I had to explain to them why I wanted to do it. But more recently, in the past couple of decades, it's really become a key aspect of any organization. People have started to realize that the people in the organization are the most valuable asset by far. And so working with them and making sure that everyone can do the best work possible through a bunch of different strategies really changes an organization and makes it succeed or fail.
There's been some really cool changes, I feel like, in the entire field of HR over the last 10 years. Like, HR didn't used to be a C-suite level department, right? And now, like, we are seeing this huge rise in chief people officers and HR being involved in all of the strategic decision making of a company, creating company culture, employee retention, like, and there's so much competition for labor now, right? And so I feel like that's shifted a ton, the conversation in HR. And then I really want to highlight something that you all mentioned that I think is really cool is a lot of times I see people that are drawn to HR because they care about people and like the employee experience. But you can bring so many different skill sets. So if you're a more analytical person, then there's an entire segment of analyst type roles in human resources, whether it's benefits and cost packages or like around retention and diversity, equity, inclusion. And there's also like the forward facing, very people oriented part of HR, which is like the training and development and the recruitment. And so there's like, and everything in between. And so I think it's a really dynamic space. And that's solving a lot of business strategic issues that companies are facing right now. Cool.
Absolutely don't have to be an extrovert to be in concentration. Room for everyone's.
Totally. And then the interesting thing about the idea of Toby from The Office, and maybe I feel like I used to get it from Laughs, but I don't know. This is like not a thing anymore. But a lot of the things that used to be mundane about HR are like technology is being used to do those things. And so like that's a lot with like resume, AI tools, like keyword screeners, and all the way through to benefits analysts and things like that. So anyways, so I'm curious. So one thing I want to touch on before you dive into our next question is I feel like a lot of students see management and HR, and some are more drawn to HR and some are more drawn to the management side. How do you see those two pieces being very different? Like, how do you see those two pieces playing out in your coursework and the focus of the concentration?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I think for me, like, I didn't really understand like what the like, I really didn't dive into when I first started, but the classes totally dive into that. And like, in one of the classes that I'm like currently in, it talks about how like in a business, like, of course, like, there's gonna be like an objective that the company has or a goal. And this concentration goes into like what that goal is and how you can achieve that through the people that you have within the company. And I think that's really where it ties like the two together, is like finding the right people that want to do the work, that support the mission and of the vision of the company, and then are gonna work towards that with like the correct management, effective management. Yeah, that's kind of how the concentration ties together. Right.
Yeah, thank you. That was good. And I think that's something that like, yeah, any leader is going to need to understand people, right? And but sometimes students are like, think that the management focus means that they're gonna dive directly into leadership positions post grad. And I find that that's just like, there are leadership development programs and things like that, but that usually just comes with more experience. And so there's no concentration that's gonna get you like a fast track to being in a management role, even if that is your ultimate goal, right? Okay. Cool. How did you choose your concentration? So was it like intro classes, was it peers, was it club involvement? Like, how did you know it was the right fit for you?
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2021, so we didn't have a graduation of COVID. And so I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do for my career. And at first I was like, oh, well, both my parents did business. I'll probably do that because I don't know, I kind of want to do political science. And then as I was learning more about what the options are, I learned about how HR works in the gaming industry. So I'm a huge gamer, and I looked at that and I saw all the different huge issues that were going on with controversies, the Activision being sued by the state of California for a bunch of different things. I learned about the rough culture in those kind of organizations. And I thought, okay, how much of your life are you spending at work? Turns out it's about a third of your life. The other third is sleeping and the other third is doing other stuff. And so people should be having a good time at work. They should be fulfilled and they should have a purpose and have it be driven to what they want to do. And there's so many people who are in that world, in the gaming world, but aren't able to have comfortable lives because of management decisions. There's this thing called crunch culture where months before a game comes out, people are working 90-hour weeks and stuff. And so it seems like that segment is very behind the times. And so I thought, how can I do something I love and make people happier, make a little better place? And my dream job is going to HR, change some stuff in the gaming world.
For me, it was more so just, I liked the sound of it, like you said, people oriented, so I kind of dove into that thought. So I took the 384 class, which is the human resource class. And with Dr. Ellison, she was just great. She made the entire class such a great experience. And then through that course, I actually was able to obtain an internship in HR. And so with like a little experience in actually having the internship and then the class, I declared.
I declared my second year, or after my second year, I declared IS, so I actually did IM for a little bit. Turns out I do not like coding at all whatsoever. But I was glad I did it. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned the HRIS, and I think it is a valuable tool, so. I mean, that's, I guess, a perspective, but then I was like, I really don't like this, like, what do I like doing? And I love like being strategic. That was like the one thing I liked about it. Like IS was like, you had to kind of come up with a strategy. And so I was like, okay, what's gonna kind of like help me with that? And at the time I was taking the intro, the Biz 287 with Morgan Monet, who doesn't, I don't know if like you've worked with her before, but she teaches like one class like ever so often. I wish she didn't, because she's probably one of the best teachers I've ever had. And she was sent her an email being like, oh my God, I changed my concentration because of you. But just the way she taught the class just made so much sense and like showed how like far you can go in like HR, and shows all the different like places within HR you can go and how exciting it can be. And she's such a girl boss. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So That was kind of how I got into it. And yeah, I like how creative HR like can be, and that's what got me really excited about it.
I think my story can resonate with a lot of people because I decided to declare my concentration really the spring of, and it was due like 3 weeks before. So for me, it was kind of like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was in business, and because there were so many concentrations in business, and I was equally interested in all of them. I think what I did was that I decided to take an intro class for HR first to just like dip my toes in to see if I liked it. And the HR class that I took was actually with Dr. Ellis too. So I was able to learn more about the different HR functions that HR provides, and I learned more about the industry and the opportunities that it has. So I was definitely, it piqued my interest a lot. But I would say that I also did a little bit of cross canceling as well. So like I did accounting, I didn't like it. In finance, I didn't like it. And then I was looking more for something that was both analytical and creative because I'm a creative person, but I like stability. So I thought HR was just the perfect option for me. And then ever since then, I'm very deep in now.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Do y'all have any questions?
Yeah, could you elaborate on like the creative opportunities? Yeah, I think specifically for me, I personally went into learning and development as an internship, and I had a lot of creativity in that part. So with learning and development, during my internship, I had to create a basically it's a manual, so a resource for all the employees. But with this, I designed the entire thing. I used Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign to help me create this. So I had so much, like it was a huge creative outlet for me to draw everything out on Procreate. So there was a lot of creativity in learning and development because the main focus is how do you get your employees to learn? How do you get your employees engaged with the content? And how do you upskill their ability so that they can go up the corporate ladder? So with this is that my job was to creatively find a way to help employees be more involved in their learning and trying to upscale their abilities.
Does anyone else want to speak to a little bit of the creativity?
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting
Yeah.
because a lot of the problems that you have to tackle in management HR are so complex and open-ended. And you're like, one of the problems is how do you make a better company culture? And that there's no like super specific process you go through. It's not like having less inventory or decreasing your accounts receivable and stuff like that.
People are complex.
People are really complex, and so you get to really think out
solve their people challenges within that space. So she's like, you're working directly with C-suite level. So like that's kind of that full like consulting type of role, but that a lot of people do that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a little different experience.
Yeah.
Actually, I worked in sales and
Yes.
the VP of sales in my office, he was management HR, so I mean, it's not technically, like, he didn't support like our payroll and benefits, but he was like managing the whole team.
Yep.
It was really cool to see and I mean, I took this class and I totally refer back to like what he was doing, how his leadership style was super effective. Sales.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I would love to go into like consulting, but I just don't know how I get there.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. We can talk about that. Are you gonna go pursue consulting, Sierra, with like net impact?
Yeah, I do really like that. I actually, one of the girls that when I was transferring concentration, she was actually working in consulting and she was working like with people's consulting, so like management and all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely like a newer it's part of consulting. But I think it's really gonna grow because it is like, you do want people that are like really driven and have that background and not all companies can like have that within their company. And I think if you're really wanting to get into that, she did a lot of networking with people in that industry because obviously it's a little bit newer. They're super excited to talk about it. So like reaching out to alumni or just people that like on LinkedIn that have it, people are so willing to just talk for 20 minutes and that really does.
Yeah. Think about the types of problems, like as a consultant, think about the types of problems that you want to solve. Do you want to solve sustainability and environmental responsibility problems? Do you want to solve culture and people problems? Do you want to come in and solve like more technical, like data challenges? And so our most common concentration into consulting is IS, but just because those tend to be like that consulting pathway, a lot of them are through the Big Four. But if that's not the type of problems you're really interested in working with, then there's like other, yeah. Okay, cool, thanks. All right, so we talk about the classes. Yeah, okay. So if maybe we just can open this up, like any notable courses. I know you talked about a few that were helpful, but any like cool projects that you worked on, faculty that you love, like what has your experience been in the classroom?
Start with that one. Right now I'm in negotiations, which is a class I've been dying to take since freshman year. And Terrence Stako teaches that class. She's wonderful, amazing human. She's so cool to like just listen to. I love the way she like narrates the classroom. And in that class, it's like I think that's like the definition of learn by doing. We like right after this, I have it, and we're doing a salary negotiation, which is gonna be so helpful. But it's super cool. So we do like a ton of different things. There was like an equity split, which I don't even know what that was before we did it. So I learned about that. There was like buying a used car. There was a vacation. Things. So she sets up like situations, and then you and a partner or you and two other people will then like demonstrate a negotiation. So you like kind of role play into that negotiation. And then you debrief afterwards and really go over kind of what that dynamic looked like. And it's just really helpful, one in your personal life, but two, like applying it to those business and like professional situations. And I'm not done with the class, but we have a project coming up where you have to collect no's. So you have to go up to like strangers, your roommates, your friends, and you like ask them questions that you expect to get a no from, which I mean, I think that's just really helpful in your personal life. So that's a really good class. And even if you guys aren't taking HR, I would totally,
For me, I actually took all those classes already. So
Wow.
I'm done with my HR classes, but so I can like speak onto like all of the classes that I've taken so far. I personally think the most notable and that piqued my interest a lot was cultivating human capital. And that's what led me to go into learning and development over the summer. The professor I was taking that class with was as a nurse, and he really had this learn by doing perspective. So he allowed us to choose a company that we wanted to research on, and the company analysis and determine what do these employees, which was technically the class, what do they need to do to upskill their own abilities and trying to improve performance, trying to just basically meet the needs of the company. So what we did with that, we decided to do a sales pitch learning and development program and helping sales representatives of the company be better at selling the products, which was basically tech services. So with this, I was able to present to the class, teach the class certain learning and development skills, and this really transferred my skills over to the internship that I was engineering at. So it opened my eyes because I was able to apply a learn by doing mindset and also get something out of it when I was taking that class. So that was something that I really liked about cultivating human capital. And I think even if you're not taking it as management or like a concentration class and you're just taking it as an elective, I think it's really fun to do so.
I really liked Business 384 with Allison Ellis, great professor. HR management, that's a very good class for the fundamentals. And a really cool project we did was we had to interview someone from a company and find an issue that related to the material and propose a solution to it. And so my group, we did how to make contract workers feel included at Kaiser Permanente. And that was really cool. We had to collect a lot of data and write a whole report about it. And that's something that you would do if you were like a HR business partner. And so it was really cool. It felt like I was working in the HR department. And then ITP 303, Lean Six Sigma is really cool. You don't have to take it, but I recommend it. It's sort of like the philosophy that brought a bunch of Japanese manufacturing companies like Toyota from nothing to the biggest car manufacturer in the world. And it's got a lot of principles of people, and it's got this concept called Gemba, I believe, which is just going to the place where people get the work done and observing and asking questions to find problems and make the processes better. And that's a really cool class.
So I have only taken 384 and I'm currently in 382. I like 382 just because we are learning all about the different leadership styles as well as followership. I feel like no one ever really talks about followership. It's a big aspect as well. I did take ITP 303 as well. I got the certification.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'm also taking the senior project right now. I am taking a HR certification. I feel like it's really cool. I am gonna graduate not only with like a 6-month internship and like a degree, but also these certifications that do make me feel more confident when I go to like the interview. And I feel like that's cool. Sure, yeah.
Any questions about class? Oh, yeah.
Oh, can you explain what a HR certification is?
Yeah, so there are two main ones. There is the like associated
HPHR. APHR.
APHR, and then there's the SHRM CP. Those are like the two main ones, and basically they just cover all of like the different areas of HR to show that you are proficient in all those areas. And they're just the main difference between the two is like one is a lot more like situational. Yeah. So that shows that like to employers that you are like knowledgeable in all those aspects.
How do you get a certification?
Take an exam.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, and
And
then
then just like self-study, or do you,
it's self-study or if you're paid, you know, a lot of money, you can pay for their course. I'm choosing the self-study because I'm a student. I don't have that kind of money. Yeah, and
If you have it, it shows that you really know your stuff. A Cal Poly degree does that too, but it's like an extra nice little.
we started using actually in performance to this concentration.
I actually know some of these, senior project was trying to make 387 more of a like intro to HR instead of called work behavior, because all the other concentrations and classes that are like intro to finance, which is accounting. But yeah, I think it's a very good introduction. This organizational psychology and understanding that is
And
very
very
important.
people based,
Yeah,
It's been nice, like, I look back on the classes now that I've taken and I'm taking right now, and there's so many fundamental, like, principles that we learned in that class, that I really apply to those classes, so, yeah.
And network behavior also was the stepping stone for me to want to take an HR class before I declared my concentration. So it was like that one step before that I was able to keep my interest and then take a little more into like the concentration itself. So I get the good starting point. Would you say HR is more like psychology based, like how people think, like what they do, is it more like living the future, is it like living the fun? I forgot to mention this, I'm actually taking an unofficial minor in HR or in psychology, yeah. So, I think, yes, a lot of the things that I do learn in psych really did apply in my learning to business because it made me think more so, oh, why do people think the way they do? Like, how do I, conflict, like manage this conflict in a way that I'm not trying to offend anyone or cause any more issues. Like I'm going to use my psychology knowledge to apply that in that situation, like conflict management and stuff like that. So I have used a lot of my psych knowledge because it really helps me understand the foundations of how people think and how people react to certain situations. And because of that, I was able to mediate conflicts without having to cause further issues.
Well, also with a lot of job listings for HR positions, they will ask for a degree in either like business, HR, or psych. Depending on like the area of HR.
but there's also roles in HR that don't require very much psychology at all. There's like could be a class and comp analyst. And so a lot of that is researching the market median wages and job classifications for different roles. And so that's super analytical and data driven and not as much psychology focused.
The classes, like the courses that you do take, I think it's a good combination between like the psychology of people, like in the leadership and organizations class right now, we kind of touch on a lot of like the psychology behind like why people like, or how to be a good leader and how to be a good follower, kind of like what you were saying, and then you kind of apply that to like the HR business practices. So it's kind of a good balance between the two.
And then, I think if you're really interested in DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, there are a lot of psych classes that Cal Poly offers about being more, aware of people's worldviews and different cultures. So I think that really helps you become a more empathetic person and understanding that there are people who are different. And I think that really helps in the DEI sector. Answer your question.
I have a question from the chat. Someone asked for electives for HR. Which ones are your favorites? Do you guys have any recommendations?
I personally liked people analytics, so it is 480, and I took that during winter program last year, so that was when it was first becoming available to Cal Poly, and I thought I took a lot of analytics from it. So you know how like HR is an analytical concentration and it can be creative. Well, this beat me a little bit more into analytics and HR, and I learned more hands-on skills, so I was able to use RStudio, which is a little complex for me, but it was really fun to learn how to like code and use statistics in HR and also apply that to people. So it's just really interesting to me to be able to like not, because I think I mainly use HR in a creative outlet, but this was another way for me to open my eyes to another part of HR that I am also interested in.
Okay, that's a class that I definitely want to take. I wanted to take it last year, but it filled up. But that's also an IS elective too. So you get like a good combination between two concentrations in that class. I took the intro to entrepreneurship class, not as like an HR class, I think that prior to declaring. But I really liked that class. If you have like any interest in like entrepreneurship and HR, it's a great kind of combination. I took that before, obviously HR, and it's cool like reflecting on kind of like how that does intertwine. But in that class, you like create a product and you kind of like bring it to market in a way. And the teacher, I think it's a different teacher now, but I think they're all pretty great. And that's a really cool class too. It's very hands-on group work.
I was gonna say, I'm in that class right now, and I wasn't thinking I was gonna like it, because I'm not like a sales mentality, I'm not like super extroverted. But it's definitely teaching me more skills about learning and just like creative solutions to problems. And so that's been very beneficial, decided to see where it goes.
How do you see HR changing with technology and AI? I think that's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I worked for this past summer, I worked for ADP, which is like the combination of like tech, HR, payroll benefits, all that. And so I kind of got to see like for very small companies, like they're going like with these like automated things. Because it is like, there's so many like policies, there's so many like risks, that like are part of HR. And I think technology is something that like when incorporated, it's gonna like totally, it is changing the whole dynamic, and you really touched on the whole HRIS, and we kind of all did, and I think that is like. It's important to have that like skill set, because it's going to be like the future of the HR, in my opinion, and I think it's like important to kind of understand how they.
Yeah, like how the recent developments in technology have removed a lot of that paperwork and made it more creative and high level thinking. Almost every routine task, paperwork type of thing will be gone in the coming decades. We'll be able to just scan something really easily. And so there's this, the guy's named Robert Wright, and that's a list of some skills that we need. It's like systems thinking, out of the box, stuff like that. You really need more soft skills. It's not going to be as much knowing how to do a task, but knowing how to solve a problem in a way that maybe we haven't thought of before. So it's a lot more intellectually stimulating, a lot less routine tasks. Very exciting. Opinion.
I see HR too as being like, and this is gonna happen in a ton of different industries, but being a manager of technology, I think is something you all are just going to need to be really prepared to know how to do.
Having emotions. So it's like, that's why HR is such a, it will be a growing function, it will be a growing industry in the future, because when everything becomes more AI based or more computerized and more based on electronics, HR is what is the most people based, and you like people only connect with people. So I think it's going to be a growing industry in the future. When AI becomes more like bigger in the industry, people start relying on computers to do their tasks.
Okay, let's talk about HRMA club involvement.
Yeah, so HRMA is campus's premier club for anything HR management. We meet every Thursday, the education building, so that's right next to opportunity to get to know them really well. This week we'll have the HR director for electronic arts come in, which is the company that makes like Madden and The Sims and,
You arrange that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. We have an Instagram, HR Make Cal Poly. There's also this forum that has our group meet and membership, so you can be found on the newsletter and corporate tours every quarter. I don't know if I already said that, but it's really awesome. HR is one of the smaller concentrations, so it's a really good opportunity to network with everyone in it. Bye.
The concentration affiliated clubs are a really amazing next step. So if you find like, I'm interested, I'm not 100% certain yet, but I want to continue to learn, meet other people, get more involved. I always encourage students, like the club, the concentration affiliated clubs are the best way to do that. And there's an amazing board of people that work really hard just to create those experiences for you all. You want to share? I know you're I mean, Net Impact. You want to share your involvement with Net Impact and what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're not familiar with Impact, we have like two parts. So if you're interested in sustainability at all, we have a general club where we have corporate speakers. We're having a panel tomorrow with internships surrounding sustainability, and it'll be on our Instagram account, probably the Impact, I think, or Net Impact Slow if you're interested. But I'm part of the consulting part of it, which we work with local businesses to make their practices more sustainable, or if their practices aren't sustainable and they have that desire to be, we help them with that. And that's really, really cool. There's a lot of cool companies. Slow is such an amazing place for sustainability, even though our recycling program isn't very great, but that's another story. But yeah, if you guys are interested, I think it's Net Impact Slow. And that has like all the information there. It's super, super cool. So if you're interested in consulting, it's not HR consulting, but it's sustainability and kind of thing.
All right, and then last quick pitch, I mentioned it briefly, but if you are interested in getting paired with somebody who is in the HR industry, we have a number of amazing HR mentors. And that's through our alumni mentoring program in the Career Readiness Center. You can just Google alumni mentoring program, OCOB, and you fill out the application and we can get you paired with someone in the industry that'll help you learn a little bit more about the skills and kind of things that you like closer to 60.
Yeah, I think the medians are entry level is about 60 to 80, and then mid-level, which is like a couple years in the industry, it gets closer to 100 to 120,000. And then I know at SLO County, we have transparent salaries, and so there was like the HR director was like 200,000, and then there was the deputy director is like 180.
Another common misconception is that people in HR don't make a lot of money. Yes, there's definitely a lot. Yeah. Okay, well, huge round of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much. We have like no minutes left for individual questions, but if they are able to, they can stick around if you have questions, but make sure you